If you know the name of the movie you'd like to see, press 1 now. For a list of movies in your area, press 2 now. To get reviews from Friday on the Couch, press 3 now. In a world with unlimited choices but limited time, 3 friends have come thumbs in hand to show the way. Have a seat, kick off your shoes, and join them for Friday on the Couch. Parental guidance suggested. Some assembly required. Do not try this at home.
Hey Doc, hey Teddy, hey everybody out there in the internet world. It's Friday on the Couch, and it's another day for another movie. We got a great movie queued up in the movie machine here, ready to show and talk about. So the movie we're going to talk about today is it combines some of our favorite things, and it's a classic in our opinion. It's definitely a cult classic, even if some people don't know about it, have never seen it, or wouldn't know what to do with it. But it kind of combines some really great things. It combines some great acting, it combines some comedy, it combines mystery, it combines choose your own adventure, and patter talk, and just some amazing pieces of set piece, and it's a great show. What I'm talking about is Clue. Now, Clue came out in the late 80s, and there has been some talk that they're going to remake it at this point. Not that they're going to remake it so much as they're just going to make another movie based on the same board game, which, again, doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be a remake of this or have anything to do with this. Probably won't have anything to do with it at all, because a number of interpretations of Clue have been made in different form and format. This one, in my opinion, up until this point, is by and far makes the best use of the IP, the intellectual property. IP means intellectual property, and best use of the movie format. So we're gonna watch this, and we're going to see who done it.
Ooh, I know who did it. I know who did it. I know.
Of course you do, Teddy. We've seen this like 100 times.
Well, I still know.
Okay. We're gonna watch it, and it's gonna be great. So we'll talk about it afterwards. Okay, so we finished watching, and it holds up just as well now as it did then, in my opinion. Let's talk about the plot. The plot is that a group of strangers have been invited to this secluded mansion, and they've been invited there under pretenses, and they don't know who has invited them. They just know that they've all been invited, and they find out through the course of the party that they're at that they have all been invited there because they're all being blackmailed by someone. They all have various different reasons to be blackmailed, which are super funny and have a lot to tie in with each of these people's personality. If you've played Clue the board game, all the characters are represented. You have Miss Scarlet and Colonel Mustard and Professor Plum and Mr. Green and Miss Peacock and all the different characters that are in the game. So it's very cool to kind of see them represented here. You discover that they've been invited there, as I said, because they're all being blackmailed, and the person who's blackmailing them has also been invited there. Thus leads to the murder. And the person who is murdered is the person who is blackmailing them. Incidentally, the person who's blackmailing them is a Mr. Body. That's the name of the character in the game as well as in the movie. But the actor who's playing Mr. Body, this guy here. His name is Lee Ving. Seriously, his name is Lee Ving. Now, I don't know where that comes from. I don't know if that's like a stage name that he chose because his real name was too outrageous or what. I mean, I love a play on words, but that's ridiculous. I mean, ever since I've ever seen this movie, I've seen the title cards go up, and you got this, and you see leaving, and you go, "What? Your name is leaving? What?" It's hilarious. Anyway, moving on. So, somebody tries to kill somebody does kill Mr. Body, and the entirety of the movie is them trying to figure out who did the killing. And through the course of the evening, several other people end up dead. None of our main characters, because, they represent the game playing pieces from the actual board game, so they can't die. But we do follow them through the course of the evening as they try to investigate the various different rooms in the house, find the secret passages in the house like they have in the game, and just basically run around and create chaos and havoc. And it is just so fun. It's so funny. Tim Curry is in this movie and basically is the main star. I mean, everything revolves around him. He plays Wadsworth the butler, which you find out pretty early in the movie that the entire setup was his, that he invited everyone there, including Mr. Body, so that he could unravel this blackmailing scheme and set everybody to try to capture Mr. Body or remove his ability to blackmail everyone, because blackmail requires secrecy, and once all the information's out in the open, there's no longer secrecy, so no more capability of blackmailing. But of course, everything goes off the rails when somebody actually kills Mr. Body, and Wadsworth is a little surprised.
Mr. Body, dead again.
So, Tim Curry, like I said, he's Wadsworth. He's basically the impetus for everything, and he's also our major sleuth. So when we get to the point where we're just solving the mystery, he's the one that's got it figured out and runs us through all the events, Sherlock Holmes style.
Very well. I know who did it. You do? And furthermore, I'm going to tell you how it was all done.
So there's these long paragraphs and speeches of him in just entertaining ways. And
doorbell rang! And it was you? Yes? I asked you for your coat, and I recognized you as Colonel Mustard, and I prevented you from telling me your real name because I didn't want any of you to use any name other than your pseudonym, and I introduced myself to you as the butler, and I ran across the hall to the library. And then Yvette met you, and smiled, and poured you a drink. And the doorbell rang, and it was Mrs. White looking pale and tragic, and I took her coat and hung it up.
This is where I really fell in love with Tim Curry as an actor. I mean, to me, there are three, four. There are three movies that he's in that really represent his great works. There's a fourth movie that he's in, but not in. And, well, those movies are Clue, which is the first place I ever saw him. And then there is Legend, where he plays Darkness and is amazing at it.
We are all animals, my lady.
Rocky Horror Picture Show.
How do you do, I? See, you've met my faithful hand in hand.
And the fourth one, which as I said is the fourth one, is Fern Gully, where he plays the oil slick monster.
I'm back.
Texas.
You could probably add Oscar to that, where he plays Dr. Poole.
Dr. Poole!
Dr. Poole?
Hello? Get back in your room.
But that movie was so ill received and did not get the kind of play it was supposed to get because Stallone was in it as the lead, and kind of people didn't really buy him as an intellectual character, even though he's playing a mob boss. And anyway, I liked Oscar. I thought it was great, especially since I'm a big fan of Lend Me a Tenor, and essentially that's the same story, or Three Bags Full, or whatever play you want to say it's based on. There's that's what Oscar is. Oscar is the Three Bags Full, Lend Me a Tenor story, where you have multiple bags coming in and out of a house that are suspected to be one thing but actually turn out to be something else, and the mistaken identity or mistaken contents story. But anyway, he plays Dr. Poole in that, but since that movie is really ill received and he doesn't get the kind of credit that I would give in that, it's a shame some of his other movies were so small parts. In Charlie's Angels, it was just an absolute waste to even use him in that because his part was so small, might as well not have even been there. Or something like Loaded Weapon, where they used him as a henchman, like Jaws from a Bond movie. Didn't have a whole lot of lines, just kind of talked. Or oh my God, The Shadow. Oh, that movie was so bad. And he was putting on an American accent. Why do you have Tim Curry and make him put on an American accent? That's so stupid.
So, when are you gonna come down and see my beryllium sphere?
I'm not interested in your spheres, Mr. Claymore.
Anyway, back to my point. Back to Clue. So in Clue, as I said, he's Wadsworth, the butler, and he's leading us through everything. And the really interesting thing about Clue, especially in its original theatrical release, which is what I really want to talk about here, because what they do on TV and what they did on video and DVDs and when it came out for home viewing is they really ruined the concept of the movie. Because when this movie came out in theaters, you would see on the marquee, you'd see Clue A, Clue B, Clue C. And there were 3 different endings. The movie was cut in such a way that you would only see one of those endings. Now, on video or on cable when you watch it, they show you all 3 endings, one after the other, in silent film mode. They put up this. So you see that title card that tells you, that you've gone into the new ending now, and it rewinds back to the place where it supposedly left off. But in that rewinding, you kind of lose out on the flow of the movie. You don't get that same kind of feeling that you're going straight into the one thing to the next. Only the A ending gives you that feeling, because as soon as the A ending ends, you get the title card. That's what might have happened, but this is another thing, and then it rewinds back. But without the momentum that you picked up, going through all of this exposition that Wadsworth is leading you through as he's running around the house, explaining how everybody died. Okay, well, this person happened, this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened. So you miss out on that, and it's sad, because it was really good to see those movies, those endings, flow directly into themselves. I saw this twice in the theaters. I saw 2 different endings. We only had the B ending nearby me, but I was able to convince my father to take me all the way down into Miami to go see the A ending. For some reason, my mind is telling me that it was on an Air Force base, but I have no idea where that would be. But that's what my brain told me, that we went to some sort of movie theater on an Air Force base. He would probably remember, because he drove, and he knows the city a lot better than I do, because my, at the time, 8-year-old brain-ish did not pick up on that information. All I know is it was a long drive, and I was bored in the car. But we went to see it anyway, and it was great. So, I know from experience that there are the endings in and of themselves work better when they're put into that format, as opposed to being shown one after the other. And quite frankly, they could have made 6 different endings. They could have made every single person been the murderer. They could have retold it a dozen different ways. And that's what the brilliance is of the movie, is that you have this completely unique setup for a film. And we haven't seen that ever since until now Netflix has that Bandersnatch thing that you can choose your own adventure, and we're getting more and more of those kind of movies that are going to be coming out in the near future now that everything's on streaming and you can choose which chapter to jump to see these different endings. So they were really ahead of their time. And it was really brilliant marketing wise. I wish the movie had done better, because who knows what we would have gotten out of that. But it was kind of a small release, and it did fine. It's achieved a lot more cult status since then than it did at the time. So yeah, when I was a kid, I took this script when I was in high school, and I wanted to produce it. I wanted to make it into a stage play. And I wrote out the entire thing. I just watched the movie, kept pausing it, writing down the lines, because, you couldn't get a script for it. You had to make your own. So I would write down every single line and came up with an idea for how to stage it and put it on, and I was going to play Wadsworth. And for a while, I really had an idea to do this, but ultimately couldn't get the cast together enough to make it happen. But I really, really love this film. I really love this script. I think it is so well written, and it is so well acted by these actors. It's got some of the most quotable lines in all of cinema, in my opinion. It just flows out of it. It's like a Mel Brooks movie, the way that these lines are so quotable. You would think that he had written it.
Well, to make a long story short, too late. And to make a long story short, too late. One by one.
I hated her so much. It flames on the side of my face, heaving breaths.
But while we were in the... How did you know that? Can you keep a secret? Yes, second on it.
Life after death is as improbable as sex after marriage.
Sit down, Miss. I had to stop her from screaming. Mr. Green! I had to stop her screaming.
Well, I think you guys can guess that I really love this movie, so I'm giving it 2 thumbs up. What about you guys? You got nothing to say, Doc? Well, I am giving it 2 thumbs up, aren't I? And you just went on and on and on for about 12 minutes straight. So what else do you think there is to say? Fair point. All right. So, as I said, it's one of our favorites. So this is a six thumber. You got to go see this movie. You got to find a way to see this movie. Keep in mind that even though the endings are set up in a way that's not as optimal, that it's still a very, very, very fine movie, and some of the finest performances you're going to see from the actors that are involved. All right, so that's all the time we have here for Friday on the Couch, and we'll see you on the couch next week. Have a wonderful week. Please remember, like, share, and subscribe. And it's episode 34 of I'm Not Confined, but I probably should be. Yeah, I think we're at 34. All right. Good night, everybody. Say good night, Teddy.
Good night, Teddy.